Hello, English 1 students. Good afternoon. I'm doing this in the afternoon at least. I'm just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the essay you're working on, the persuasive paper that you're writing, and then hopefully we're going to be able to present so all of us can hear your interaction. So first of all, on your research paper, I don't know what to say. I was just thrilled. I'm telling you, you did some real work, and I really appreciate the effort you put into it. The skills you learned there are simply invaluable. Yeah, good job. Just really good job. So thanks again. Now, so that was a factual kind of paper, and this is factual, but it has in its purpose a persuasive concept, and that's essentially what an essay is. An essay is taking your opinion and writing and or speaking about it. So, a couple things, and I know we've talked about it quite a bit, but 2 to 3 pages, that's the example that's in your book. Make sure your logic is clear. Clear logic. That simply means know your stuff. Know what you're talking about. So when you're going to make a case for something, make sure you have done your work and you know what you're talking about. It's one thing to have an opinion and to even be emotional about it, but it not be true, well thought out and true. Now, it doesn't mean that at the end, 2 people can't look at the same thoughts and come out think a little differently about it, but don't give illogical and wrong, outright wrong information. So particularly if you state statistics or any kind of numbers, make statements of saying how things are, make sure you've done your work and that you know what you're talking about. When's this all supposed to be due? I'm going to put the due deadline Friday, May 1st. So I'm hoping that's this Friday and a week. So I'm hoping by May 1st to have all the assignments in, and we can be pretty much wrapping up school by that point. That's also the day that I'm tentatively looking at trying to present this paper live. Now, how are we going to do that? I wish we could get together, and I haven't ruled that out completely. We're only 9 people with me, 8 of you in English 1, and then if I would be there, only 9 people. So I don't know if there's any way we could maybe, practice social distancing, get together, and make our presentations. That would be ideal. Anyway, here's the plan at this point, is using Zoom. I'm sure you've been hearing about Zoom, and the way Zoom would simply work, each of you would need to have a device, smartphone, tablet, or a computer as long as it has a webcam, and you would need to download the Zoom app. You don't need to have an account. Simply download the Zoom app, and then I would set up, so it would be like our conference ID and username and ID. And so I would get that to all of you. That would be your invitation to join the Zoom meeting. And so you would simply go on Zoom, enter the conference ID, and you would be on the meeting. And then I would moderate, and I could mute or unmute each of you as we get to your turn, and you would simply present your paper to the rest of us. And it would just be our group, wouldn't be a public thing, just be our group. The only people that can be in a Zoom meeting, unless you're a hacker and hack your way in, but the only people who are in a Zoom meeting are those who are invited and have the meeting ID. So that's probably the way we'll do it. So to be preparing for that, get the Zoom app on a device and be setting it up in a way that you could speak into it so that the rest of us could hear your paper. Now, hopefully that's not quite as scary as what we teachers do, make the video and put it on YouTube where everybody can see it. I actually thought about that. I think I mentioned that. But this would be better in that we could see each other and wouldn't be quite as scary. At least I think not. Okay, one more little housekeeping duty. Some of you have told me what you're working on. Not all of you have. In fact, I think probably more of you haven't than have. But I need to know, I want to know, and I think I should know what your topic is. So please call or text me what you're working on. And here's my phone number, 486-8761. Make sure if you text that you put your name on it. I still don't have quite all your phone numbers. Sometimes the phone number shows up and I don't know who it is. I know it's one of my students, but I don't know which one. So make sure your name is on the text. Okay, with that, one of the things your lesson 12 talks about on page 19 is visual aids. Now, I don't know what you think about visual aids. Some people are audio learners, that is, they learn by hearing. Some people are visual learners, they learn by seeing. Some people, in fact, most people, do best if they have a combination of the two. So while they're hearing, they're also seeing. And that's the whole point of putting things on a chalkboard. That's the whole point of using overhead slides and using things like PowerPoint or overhead projectors. Now, as a part of making things you would put on a blackboard or things you would put on an overhead projector, you can make things that add to your speech. Now, I don't know how much that you could incorporate into this, but it will certainly add something to your speech if you can develop some visual aids, some things you could print out. Now, if we were in a setting where we were together physically, this might be more possible, but even with Zoom, you know, I'm putting things here on the chalkboard, you can read them, at least I hope so. Sometimes I wonder. And you could do something similar. So, you know, you could print something on a poster, and you could simply have that in front of the camera. You could practice a little bit so you know where it's going to come out, and we can all see it, and you can hold it up and point to it, and so on. So, lesson 12, page 19, points out some different things you want to do with whatever you're trying to do. So, number one, he says slides and pictures can provide emotional emphasis. So I know at least some of you are talking about poverty. So you want to make your point, and you want us to feel this and really believe this problem of poverty. You need to have some pictures. And pictures of people in poverty are emotional, and they're going to draw empathy or sympathy from us. So that's the value of picture. It can have emotional impact. Pictures today can be distorted. They can make emotional impacts that aren't true. So I think, as a Christian, we need to be upright, and we need to do carefully the things that we do in that line. So be careful with your pictures. Make sure you use pictures ethically, that you don't try to manipulate them and make them say something that isn't true. But pictures are good to make an emotional impact. Number two, using charts and graphs to state facts or statistics. And this is if you're trying to make a logical argument. And so you're trying to show that smoking causes deaths. And so you show statistics. So people who start smoking at this age, and this age, how many die, how many get cancer, how many people what percentage of people who don't smoke don't get cancer. Sorry, I need to get a drink. And so on. So those are the kind of things you're trying to show. And when people see this on the graph, it makes an impact, and you remember it. I think, wow, that really is something. Now, just remember that graphs, too, can be misleading. So if you're looking right here at this page, and you see on page 19, you have smokers' life expectancy for persons born in 1980. Now, if you just look at the bar graph, it looks like female non-smokers live twice as long as female smokers. because the bar is over twice as long. I mean, maybe even triple. Well, that's not true because the age is starting at 65 and goes to 90. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying this graph is deliberately trying to be deceitful. It's not. But the point is, you can do things with graphs to make an impact that's maybe not totally the way it is. And particularly if you're working with really minute differences and you use a graph to magnify those differences to try to make your point. And so, you know, if the difference is only maybe 5 of whatever it is, but you're only showing the gap between 4.9 and 5.1, you know, you can make that really, really big difference. So be careful with the graphs as well. But charts and graphs do a good job making convincing statements for logical argument. Diagrams. Let's say that's number 3. You're trying to explain something complicated. Now, what you guys did just right outside in the gym here with the solar system is an example of what a diagram can do. So you're trying to explain the solar system. You know, I know we hear there's 9 planets. Well, actually only 8 now. It used to be 9 because one's so far out there. There's the asteroid belt that's somewhere in the middle here. And it's all a big fuzzy picture until you see it all graphed out on the wall. That makes a lot of sense. Now I have this visual picture of how this all looks. And it helps me remember it. It just makes so much more impact. And so that's what a diagram can do with a difficult concept. So on the next page, they're just showing, like, let's say you're trying to explain how government works, particularly the national government and the 3 branches of government and what they do. To have that on a diagram and have the different parts would definitely make much more of a memorable impact than if you just read it off. The executive government enforces laws, makes broad policies, administrates the will of the people. Judicial interprets the laws, upholds everybody's tuned out. And even if you try to make it really interesting, you're going to have a hard time remembering it. But if you put it in a chart, so over here we have judicial ball. Here's what these guys do. Choo. And you know, if you do graphs, you have maybe a picture of a courthouse. You know, a judicial looking building, or a man with a judicial robe there. It would help you remember that. And then you got executive, you need a picture of the White House. Okay? And that's the president. And then legislative, you've got the Capitol building. So, you know, these are the congressmen. And maybe you can have how many congressmen there are or something, you know, something else that makes us remember these different branches of government. Okay, so anything you do with pictures or with visual, if you use PowerPoint and put overheads with diagrams and so on, make sure it's big enough. Make sure it's big enough that everyone can see it. It's so frustrating. If there's something up here to see and you're straining and you can't make any sense out of it, you just tune it out. I can't see it. So make sure it's big enough. Make sure you do a good job. Make it neat and attractive. Don't have misspellings, grammatical errors. That kind of blows it off. So you want it nice, well done. Use color if you can. So people that are really good at chalkboards, you're supposed to use different colors of chalk. I don't have any. I used to have some of it. Let's see if I can look that up and on. But anyway, yeah, so you're supposed to write different points in different colors, underline in different colors, make your arrows different colors. Anyway, I have thought this, though, especially with PowerPoint, when you can do all kinds of things with it, that some people enjoy doing PowerPoint gymnastics. And they make the things, do cartwheels and spin, and I've done that too, and it's fun. But at the end of the day, the content of your speech still has to be there. And you can't cover up a poor content with PowerPoint gymnastics. So, if you want to do some of that just for fun and to keep it engaging, that's great. But make sure there's content at the end. Okay, we're going to pause from there and I might make one more video somewhere along the line with just some speaking tips on how to, you're actually going to be speaking a little differently, not from notes, but actually from a written paper this time. So it's just a little different. So I might make one more video about that. But the thing to take home today is that you're working on this paper. I need to know your topic title, and you need to make sure you got some clear logic, that your argument has some meat to it. May 1st, Friday, May 1st, that's Friday in a week, is when we're going to say this is due, and we're going to try to come up with a way to present the paper live, that you actually read your paper probably via Zoom. So get Zoom downloaded, get the Zoom app on your device, and play with it a little bit on, able to record you well, or some way to set it up so that you'll be able to read and be able to have the camera on you. Okay, with that, I'll be looking for some texts or calls, and you all have a good day. Thank you.